classes, not just for this one, and think about, what you need to do to be where you want to be for the end of the semester there. And we've got a couple goals for today's class. We're going to review some of the most frequently missed questions from our Unit 2 test. That was the one that talked about like equations and finding solutions on graphs and all of that fun stuff. And we're going to provide some opportunities for you to improve your knowledge and your scores on some of your Unit 2 work. And then what I would like to ask you now to respond to is, are you happy with how well you did on the Unit 2 test? So hopefully it's been several weeks now since you had that Unit 2 test right around Thanksgiving. Should have had the opportunity to go back and look at that, see how you did, look at the feedback on the questions that you got, and all of that kind of stuff. If you haven't, just remember that we do try to get your stuff graded within a week or two. So you should be able to go back and look at those scores and things so that you can really see what you did well on, what you need to work on, all that kind of stuff. But if you do remember, or whether you do or don't remember, just take a best guess if you have to. How well do you remember doing on the Unit 2 test? And there are still a few of you, like 3 or 4, I think, just glancing at the sheet, that still haven't taken the Unit 2 test, and you really have to get that done. That is 30 mastery points, which is a lot. Um, so that's really bringing down your grade if you have not done that yet. So please make sure you're checking on that and getting that done. I know myself and Mr. Rucker have been reaching out to people the past couple weeks about getting those done and knocked out. So please, please, please make sure you're checking on that. All right. So the most frequently missed questions when I went back and looked at our Unit 2 test and some of our Unit 2 work is solutions to equations and solutions on graphs and reading our coordinate points correctly. Okay, so today we're going to focus a little bit on reviewing that material. And then on Thursday, we'll talk about a few other topics from the Unit 2 that we need to focus on. Okay, but these were some of the most frequently missed questions. So we really just want to kind of dig into these to make sure we understand them, because you will use this for the rest of your math career. So this idea of finding solutions and testing solutions won't go away. So we really got to make sure that we know it. All right, so here are a couple of examples for you to look at to refresh our memory. So when we want to determine if something is a solution or not, we have an equation, we're going to plug that value into the equation, and we're going to see if we get a true statement or not. Okay, so you can see two examples there. The one on the left, we're trying to determine if 5 comma 11 is a solution. So you can see the scholars work there. They plug in the 5 for the x and the 11 for the y. And when they simplify that, they get 10 plus 1, which is 11. So on the very last line there, it says 11 equals 11. That is a true statement. 11 does equal 11. Therefore, that tells us that the point that we tested is a solution for that equation. Okay? So if we get a true statement, that means the point that we tested is a solution. Now, if you look there on the right-hand side, using the same equation, we are testing whether or not the point 2 comma 7 is a solution. Okay, so if we take a look at that, we plug in 2 for x and 7 for y. We get 4 plus 1, which is 5. 5 is not equal to 7. So that is a false statement, which tells us that the point that we tested is not a solution. Okay, so if we plug in a point and we get a true statement, that means it is a solution. If we plug in a point and get a false statement, that means it is not a solution. I know it's been a while since we've talked about that. Are there any questions about those two examples before we move on to some practice? All right. So let's take a look at this one. So the scholar is trying to determine if 2 comma 8 is a solution to the equation 4x minus 3. And there's their work down on the bottom left-hand side of the slide. So what should we conclude? Should we decide that A, the point is a solution because the statement is true? Or should we decide B, the point is not a solution because the statement is false? So again, when we say the statement is true, what we are looking at is the result of the scholar's work. So most of you got that one correct there. So we're looking at that very bottom line to decide if that is true. So 8 equals 5 is not true. If I went to the store and my bill rang up as $8 and I give them a $5 bill, they're not going to let me leave the store with everything that I've got because I haven't given them the same amount of money. So since that is false, we know that the point that we tested is not a solution for the equation. All right, so here's another one. So the scholar was trying to determine, is 2 comma 7 a solution to the equation for y equals 4x minus 5? So analyze the work that they've provided there and explain what conclusion should be made. So what does their work tell us about the question they're being asked to answer? And what we mean when we say what conclusion should be made is what should the scholar answer to the question they were asked. So remember, the question that they were asked is 2 7 a solution? So based on their work, what should they say? Whoops. Sorry, you guys. Hang on. If you're looking at my screen, I just accidentally stopped sharing. Let me share it again. There we go. Sorry about that. Give me just a few more moments. I see a few of you are still typing. All right. Overall, good job. What we're looking there for, or what we're looking for there, is for you to realize that the very last line of the scholar work says 7 equals 3. That is not true. 7 does not equal 3, which tells us that the point that we tested is not a solution. Okay, so that's the conclusion that should be made, is that 2 comma 7 is not a solution. All right, so now we want you to try this one on your own. Ooh, thank you. I'll go back just a second. So, what we want to see here is that 7 equals 3 on the very last line of the scholar work. So that tells us, since that is not true, 7 does not equal 3, that the point that we tested is not a solution. Okay. And now what we want to do is have you try that on your own. Okay. So we want you to show us your work to prove or to answer, is 3 comma 5 a solution to the equation y equals 2x plus 1? So don't forget to say ultimately, yes, it's a solution, or no, it's not a solution, and how you know. All right. So good job. You guys got that one right for those of you that submitted a response. This would not be a solution because when we plug in 3 for x and 5 for y, we get 6 plus 1. 6 plus 1 equals 7, and 5 does not equal 7. That is not a true statement. Therefore, the point we tested cannot be a solution to the equation that we were given. Are there any questions right now about what it means for something to be a solution to an equation and what specifically we're looking for? All right, if you decide you have a question, you can put it in the chat. You can unmute and just ask, or you can also respond on your slides as well, and we can see that and give you feedback to those. All right, so thinking about what we just went over, which of the following indicate there was a solution to that equation? Okay, so you can circle them, star them, X out the ones that aren't solutions. Whatever you want to do is fine. Just make it clear which of them are solutions for the equation in the particular box. Excuse me. And I will tell you that there are two correct answers. Okay, so there are two of these options that do, in fact, represent solutions. All right, looks like most of us are right on track here. I'm going to give you about 5 more seconds to finish your response with this. All right. So most of you got that one right. And the correct answers there are A and D. Okay. Because if you look at the very last lines in A and D, you have true statements. A says 11 equals 11, which is true. And D says 9 equals 9, which is true. And notice that in the middle two, B and C, do not have true statements. Okay. So that's what we're looking for when we analyze work to determine if something is a solution or not, is a true statement at the end of the equation. So let's look at this one. Notice that this equation is a bit different than the others because it says 3x plus 4y equals 28. So the x and the y are on the same side of the equation this time. So based on the scholar's work below, is 2 comma 5 a solution to the equation? And how do you know? All right, I want to share some responses with you guys that I really liked. So the first one says no, 26 does not equal 28. So 2 comma 5 is not a solution. No, because 26 is not equal to 28. And no, it is not a solution because 2 comma 5 is not a true statement. 26 is not equal to 28. Okay, that's what we're looking for here, is for you to be clear about whether or not it's a solution and what specifically guides you to that. So since we do not get a true statement, it only equals 26 when we plug in the point 2 comma 5, that tells us that it is not a solution. Okay. All right, so let's look at this one here. Reese bought some tickets and some snacks from the Red Hawk Rangers, selling raffle tickets for $3 each and healthy snacks for $2 each. Reese spent a total of $30. There's the equation. They've identified their variables. R is the number of raffle tickets, S is the number of snacks. And the question we want to answer is it possible that Reese could have purchased 8 raffle tickets and 3 snacks for $30? For those of you that just joined us, the link is in the chat box for you to join our activity for today. All right. So don't forget, a few of you are still just giving us yes or no answers. We want to know why. Okay. So again, looking at that work, when we plug in the 8 raffle tickets and the 3 snacks that Reese purchased, we get 30. So it did, in fact, cost $30 for those 8 raffle tickets and the 3 snacks, which means that it is possible for Reese to buy 8 raffle tickets and 3 snacks for $30, which means this is a solution to our equation. All right. Now let's talk a little bit about solutions on graphs. So circle the point that is marked on the graph that is a solution, and then tell me why you chose that one. All right. So the good news is it looks like everybody remembers, for the most part, how we identify solutions on the graph. And for this particular example, the green point at 12 comma 16 is the one that is a solution because it's on the solid line. Okay, so remember, when we're looking at a graph and talking about solutions, if it's on a solid line, it's a solution. If it's not on the line, it is not a solution. All right, so using this graph, plot us a point on this graph that is not a solution. So plot a point somewhere on that graph that would not be a solution. All right, great job, everybody. So, just going to show your all's responses really quick. They're all points that are not on the line. That's how we know they are not solutions. Very good job. All right, so looking at this graph, how many of the points marked are solutions? Zero of them, three of them, or five of them? All right, great job. Three of those are solutions because there are 3 points that are marked on the line. Great job. All right, so using this graph, circle one of the points that is marked that is not a solution and write the coordinates of that point. Okay, so by coordinates, we mean x comma y. So circle the point that is not a solution and then tell us what the coordinates are. Don't forget to write the coordinates. So what's the x value and the y value of each of those, or of the point that you circled, excuse me. All right, great job, everybody. So everybody got their point correct. excuse me, a few of us struggled with identifying the coordinate point, and that is, excuse me, 4 comma 3. So if we start at 0 on the graph, we have to go right 4, excuse me, and then up 3 to get to the point that is not a solution. Okay, so remember your x value always comes first, and then your y value comes second. All right, so keeping that in mind, using this graph, which of these points is not a solution for this graph? Is it 0 comma 2, 1 comma 5, or 2 comma 3? Which one is not a solution? So remember, we're looking for the one that is not a solution. All right, great job. For those of you that responded, you all got that correct. 2 comma 3 is not a solution because it's the point that is not on the line. If you're struggling at all with identifying where points are when they're not marked, please let us know so we can sit down with you one-on-one and really help you dig into that. Otherwise, that is our last question for today. So you will only have one assignment this week, and that will not post until Thursday's class, okay? Because we're going to review a few more things before I post that. So I figured instead of giving you two smaller assignments, we just do one. And that way you didn't have to worry about having multiple things right before finals come up. Okay. Also, if you haven't done your work from week 15, 16, or 17, so that's the work from Thanksgiving break to Christmas break. Okay. Those last 3 weeks there, that is going to be turned off tomorrow. Okay. There are some of you that haven't done any of it yet. So please make sure that you get that done today before those get turned off. Okay. And if you have any questions, of course, please let us know. And then I could have swore I changed this question instead of how well do you like this lesson, but that's okay. We'll keep it that way. I thought I asked something like how much do you remember from this content, but whatevs, that's all right. So once you slide your indicator for your reflection question, you are free to go unless you have any questions about assignments that you need to ask us before you leave. Thank you. You too.